I am extremely satisfied. You guys make this happen. I earned a friend here. We understood each other, very communicative. So I'm happy working with you.
There's a housing affordability crisis in America right now. As we approach 2025, property values are at or near all-time highs in most markets. In fact, the median home price in the United States has risen by nearly 40% in the last 5 years alone. Mortgage interest rates are at a 20-year high, and property taxes have never been higher, with many Americans seeing increases of 30% or more in just the past year. Meanwhile, the insurance industry is undergoing major reform, with premiums skyrocketing by as much as 50% in some states. Add it all up, and what it means for many Americans is that the cost of owning a home has increased by 200 or even 300% in just a few short years. Take Walter, for example. Like many Coloradans, he was deeply concerned about housing affordability in Denver. Despite working 2 full-time jobs and having a strong desire to buy, he found himself questioning how his vision could become a reality. Since his last home purchase, both property values and interest rates had risen significantly, putting the dream of continued home ownership in serious jeopardy. Walter, for my first question, I'd love to know, where did you get your incredible work ethic? I remember reviewing your application and thinking this must be a mistake. There's no way he's working 2 full-time jobs.
Well, I started with one, and Colorado allows you, because everything's so close. There's not too many freeways that you need to drive around to get to plan A, to a place, to another place. So I was able to, and then plus, not very much work in the house. So you have all this time, especially in the winter, because you do one job, go home and say, hey, I got all this time. I'll just go get me another job. And the jobs are available here.
Chris, when working with buyers like Walter, what are some of the biggest concerns you hear regarding the local housing market?
Interest rates are probably the number one culprit there. It makes purchasing, it makes payments higher, right? There's a lot of unpredictability with the market and what's going to happen. So I think the biggest thing is people understanding what their payments are going to look like, if this is something that they can afford and if they're going to be in a comfortable spot.
After experiencing the advantages of homeownership, Walter was eager to buy again. Now, after being a homeowner for most of the past 20 years, why didn't you ever consider renting? What made continued homeownership so important to you?
I bought early, in my 20s.
After purchasing his first home in his 20s, Walter is no stranger to the benefits of homeownership. Having owned a home for most of the past 15 years, he's built significant equity. This equity not only allowed for a larger down payment, but also helped reduce his borrowing amount, which in turn lowered his monthly payment.
That allowed me to earn equity, and that equity, I pass it down to every house I own.
As a result, Walter has gained stability in his housing expenses, knowing that his monthly principal and interest will never increase because of the fixed rate, while also leaving the door open for future equity gains, benefits that come with owning a home, not renting. What do you feel New Homeco offers that aligns with what many buyers like Walter are looking for?
Well, there's a number of things, and that's a great question. I appreciate you asking. What I would tell you, number one, is that new construction as a whole is a very different game than buying a home in resale. With the current market conditions, right, with higher interest rates, things like that, it helps a lot when you have a builder, one, that's willing, and two, able to help buyers. So in this market, that really works out financially in most ways, right? It's the ability to be able to offer incentives that help buy down interest rates. It's the ability to accept a contingency if the buyer has a home to sell before they can close here. It's the ability to be nimble with closing dates, to work with them to make sure that we are matching lease expirations, matching the closing of their existing house, things like that, right? So it's being a partner through a process, through a transaction where you really listen to the needs of the person on the other end of the table. I would say at New Homeco, that's really what we pride ourselves on. And that's how we go forward.
He recognized the importance of this decision for both his long-term wealth-building goals and his monthly budget. As you entered into this new chapter of your life, how much of a concern was the issue of housing affordability in the Denver market for you?
There's so many programs here. It's so easy. You just need to get a hold of a lender, an agent, and run your credit And that's all you need.
Walter strongly encourages others to make informed financial decisions based on their unique goals and financial situation. A great way to do this is by speaking with a lender to explore the options available in the marketplace.
That can scare people, the payment. But like I say, it's just so many options now that the banks have. The flexibility is just there.
Many banks offer a variety of loan programs designed to promote homeownership, including low or minimum down payment options, down payment assistance, and other affordable housing solutions. Walter's advice is to connect with a bank that can help tailor a solution to your specific needs and goals.
They're just scared to find about what the options are up there. Usually just a phone call will fix the issues you might have or the questions you might have.
One of the things that Walter mentioned was the professionalism and the communication from the team. Can you walk us through what you and New Home Co. prioritizes in terms of customer support?
One, I'm really excited that he said that. That's fantastic. That's something that we work through together as a team. And I'll tell you, when you buy a home, people have the opportunity to buy one that's going to be ready for them to move in 30 days. The process and the transaction and the communication obviously is very different, right? If we're with somebody for just 30 days or if we're with somebody for 60 days, there's a lot more to communicate, 6 months. So we have a process in place where every week, it's typically done on a Wednesday, my superintendent and I, is a gentleman named Carlos Diaz, we sit down together in my office and we go through our construction schedule. So what that looks like to us is a list of people who are currently under contract to close on their home. And we call them together. We call them on speakerphone. And it's really nice to have us both in the room, right? So Carlos will go over, hey, here's where your home is at today. Here's what we're going to do this week. Here's what we're going to work on next week. We'll give you a call back on Monday to let you know, right? If everything was successful there, if we're ahead of schedule or if we're behind schedule. The communication and having that information as a buyer really eliminates a lot of stress that they don't necessarily know they're going to feel before they go under contract, right? So I think just the consistency of hearing from us every week, letting them know exactly where we are, that we're watching it, but also calling to let them know that, hey, I noticed that we broke a window this week, right? It's all of that together. And again, I think it's being a good teammate. It's taking care of the person on the other end of the line.
Why was it so important for you to get this purchase right? I know you were very selective about what you wanted.
After seeing all those homes, I started thinking, what would be the perfect home to fit my schedule? A brand new home, small backyard, and especially all the things that this home has. I can go to my regular jobs, no problem. I can enjoy Colorado, come home late.
Do you think we'd be here today if you hadn't been a homeowner for the past 20 years? Do you think that last purchase helped you with this property?
Yes, because of the equity that I had through all those years. The equity made it possible. I'm sure I would be able to, with my 2 jobs and my credit score, I should be able to find something. But being able, the decision that I made in my early years, it definitely did help me.
So the fact that you made smart decisions 10 years ago, 20 years ago, that's benefiting you now in the present.
Yes, definitely.
Please tell us more about the Painted Prairie community and why it stands out from other communities in the area. It was very obvious to me when I walked around the community that there's some pretty incredible perks to living here.
There really is, yeah. I appreciate you saying that. So Painted Prairie is a master plan community. And if you're familiar with this area, I would say that's the one thing we have no shortage of, right? One of my favorite clients to work with is when people are new to the state, because it's so fun to be able to not only explain why my community is so cool, but the proximity to the light rail, the proximity to downtown Denver, right? How quick it takes, the commute to get to the mountains. What I would start off with saying is even though there are multiple master plan communities out here, each one is really marketed to a different lifestyle. So to give you an example, Painted Prairie really prides itself on a couple different things, one of which is having more open space and parks than just about any community out here. When you move in here, and this is a really key thing to point out, these parks are in, they're existing, they're here now. Many times you'll go to a master plan community and they show you this beautiful marketing brochure of what's going to be in over the next 10 to 15 years of production. And what I tell you is that's accurate, and those things are going to be wonderful. So I would say when you're picking out these master plan communities, a community like Painted Prairie offers a lot of advantage in the fact that those amenities are here now, right? So it's a plug and play, right? You move in and you're ready to go. So what we have here and what we've always had here are the usual suspects, right? We have McDonald's and Chili's and Popeyes. What we don't have is a cool restaurant to walk to that you can go get, a bottle of wine, a good date night dinner. We don't have cute coffee shops and breakfast spots, places like that. So I'll tell you, this town center right in the heart of Painted Prairie is going to be an amazing amenity for this community and the surrounding communities here.
How did the last purchase help you buy this property? Now, I remember our conversation about a month into your home buying journey where you expressed some frustrations with the resale market in your price range. Can you share what those frustrations were and what prompted you to consider looking at new construction?
I was a little frustrated because I was going to pay a lot of money for a home that was built 20, 25 years ago. And I realized, wait a minute, I could get a brand new home for about the same price.
After shifting his focus to new construction, Walter began researching various builders, communities, and locations. That's when he discovered Painted Prairie, a community developed by New Home Co., which truly caught his attention. So what was it initially that grabbed your attention about the Woodrows at Painted Prairie community?
This community is very close to the airport and it's close to downtown. And it is only a few 20 minutes drive to my work.
And not only the location, but you were showing us some of the features of the community, the park. Did you enjoy just some of the parts of the HOA?
It's really big. There's so much to do up here, so many trails. They do events, concerts. That attract me buying here.
What about the design and the build of the homes?
Yes, it's very unique, very solid, strong, and it's perfect because it's not the builder who I bought it from. The homes, they're not attached. It's sitting by itself, so it's perfect.
You mentioned to me several times that you were impressed by the craftsmanship of the builder, New Home Co. What set New Home Co. apart from some of the other homes and builders you were considering?
That they did in the house, outside and in. It came with blinds, all appliances, washer and dryer. So it was perfect for me.
And you also mentioned some of the smaller things with some of the landscaping in the front and then putting the landscaping tarp down in the back, just small things that you really appreciated.
Yeah, and then it's pretty much set up to whatever I want to do next year. And I don't have to do any landscaping in the front, and I don't have to do any landscaping in the back because I have the garage.
Walter was specifically impressed with the craftsmanship of the homes. What aspects of design and build quality do you think make New Home Co. properties distinctive?
Even if you haven't looked at new homes in just a year or maybe two, are so different. We have smart home features where we can dim all the lights, we can turn them all off, we can turn them all on from vacation, right? We can open our garage door, we can lock our doors, we can dim the lights, we can turn on the stereo. What I'd tell you varies drastically from builder to builder is the process. And the process, I mean, of a buyer coming in, picking out a home of their dreams, all the way to the day that they move into the home. A buyer would come in, we would show them this beautiful model home, typically full of a lot of upgrades that weren't included in the price. And we would work with them with basically a menu. So we would say, all right, we have homes that range in square footage from blank to blank, right? We have home sites that are on parks, we have home sites that are on cul-de-sacs, we have home sites that are off the street. As the buyer would say, oh, I like this plan, the salesperson or the builder is just adding up the totals, right? So when that same buyer walked into a model home with a sign that said from the 400s, and when they get a printout from the guy on the other side of the desk that says, the home you built was 620, right? There's that look of, wait a minute, I didn't want to buy a $620,000 house. I came in off the sign off the 400s. It's happening because of the builder's process. So what I'll tell you what we do at New Home Co. One, everything is included in the price. When you walk into our model is identical to the ones that we build. We can really focus on the things that are important to them. And I don't have to worry about breaking the bad news later that what they're describing costs more than what I told them. Two, it makes us very predictable. So if you could think about it like this, if I don't have to assemble a base price, a lot premium, a list of optional features, right? I know the end price today, which means the buyer knows the end price today, which means the lender knows the end price today. We can budget, right? We know how much payment's gonna be. We can make a good decision. We can lock an interest rate, right? We can apply incentive funds to make those payments better. So having those dates, being reliable, being predictable, those are the things that make a builder a better match for somebody than another.
I say this with a smile because the craftsmanship wasn't the only feature that impressed you. How else did New Home Co. work with you to help you achieve your other goals, specifically regarding housing affordability?
The loans were very flexible. The opportunity that buying a new home, the discounts, made it easier for me to be able to buy down some of the interest rate.
New Home Co. offered Walter a flex credit that could be used to reduce the sales price, cover closing costs, buy the interest rate down, or a combination of all three. In Walter's case, he used the credit for a temporary 3-year interest rate buydown, which allowed him to secure a rate significantly lower than current market levels. This saved him hundreds of dollars each month and thousands over the first 36 months, before the rate adjusted in year 4, which further assisted in making this purchase even more affordable for him. Affordability is a big concern right now for many home buyers. How does New Home Co. work with buyers to help make homes more financially accessible?
We give them money. So we have an incentive right now that's $30,000, and it's called a flex credit. The reason it's called a flex credit is it doesn't matter to us if it makes more sense for that buyer to put all $30,000 towards a lower interest rate. But there's also buyers who are investors, for instance, and they're paying cash, right? So interest rates don't matter to them. They can take that same $30,000 off of the price.
So the buyer can customize that incentive based off of their individual needs.
They can. Sometimes more importantly, the lender the ability to say, hey, here's the money. You figure it out. Make this best for Walter, right? That's really what we do.
You also mentioned that the customer service from the entire team at New Home Co. was professional, communicative, and streamlined. What did your sales agent and neighborhood sales manager do to make this such a positive experience for you?
When we came to see the house, they were available for me to see it anytime. There was not very many concerns because it was a brand new property. So they put it all together and made it easier for me. I did have some questions, and then they answered the questions. They were available when I needed them.
And did they also give you the flexibility when it came to the credit that you received? Were they flexible and worked with you on that as well?
Yes, they were very flexible as far as credits and everything that needed to be done for me to make this happen.
Now, for the most important question of the afternoon, how satisfied are you with your experience with New Home Co., and how likely are you to recommend them to your friends or family?
I am extremely satisfied. You guys make this happen. I made a decision to buy a home, and you guys put it all together, and it was awesome. I'm very thankful. I would definitely recommend it to friends and family. Some of my friends saw the home already, and they're like thinking about it. So Home Co., thank you.
New Home Co. often emphasizes community and long-term value. What do you hope homeowners like Walter will gain from their experience both now and as they build equity over the years?
Oh, that's a great question. So one, I want them to love where they live. I want them to love their home. Thankfully with Walter, we were a tremendous match. He is in a position where he needed to change the square footage of the house he was in. He needed to change the location based on proximity to the airport and proximity to work. Walter made a couple wonderful decisions. One, he hired an excellent real estate agent who helped him determine where the area would match what he was looking for. Two, he was really focused on the budget and really focused on understanding that payment and making sure that this was something that he can take long term. And I will tell you, one of the things that he changed his mind on at the beginning was he was dead set on not having a basement. And then we started to explore options that were in about the same monthly budget range, just to show him different versions of that. It's where you're buying, it's who you're buying with, and it's who's taking care of you along the way. But as long as you find the house that you love, that supports the needs you came in with, that equity will follow.
And for the final question of the afternoon, how was your experience working with me, Benjamin Adams, at North Point Bank?
Amazing. I feel like I earned a friend here. We understood each other. You were flexible, you were available, pretty much 24/7, very communicative, awesome guy. So I'm happy working with you.
Yeah, well, it was such a pleasure to work with you. And you know what? You think I'm a friend, I feel like you're family.
Yeah. Thank you. This is just the beginning. We will do business again. And I think I recommended you to one of my friends. So hopefully you take care of him the way you took care of me.
All right. Well, I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.